learn how to spend your time wisely. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How do you spend your time? Not just the minutes and hours you fill with tasks, but the meaningful, precious moments that shape your life. Time is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. We all have 24 hours in a day, but how we use those hours makes the difference between living a life of purpose or one of regret. Let me tell you something, time is the one resource you can never get back. You can lose money, friends, or opportunities, but time. Once it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. And it doesn't care if you were ready, if you had a plan, or if you were waiting for the right moment. Time is always moving, and it's up to you to decide how you'll move with it. The secret to spending your time wisely isn't just about being busy. It's about being intentional. Every second counts. Every choice matters. The question is, are you making your time work for you, or are you letting it slip away? You see, when we get intentional about our time, we take back control of our lives. We stop reacting to the demands of others and start acting in line with our purpose. We begin to say no to distractions and yes to what really matters. But remember, spending your time wisely doesn't mean you need to fill every second with tasks or activities. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is rest, reflect, or simply be still. It's in those moments of quiet that we find our true selves. So here's the key: time is not just what you make of it, it's who you become because of it. Spend it wisely, shape your future with it. And most importantly, honor it, because your life depends on it. When we talk about understanding your priorities, we're really talking about understanding yourself. You see, we often get caught up in the whirlwind of life, saying yes to everything that comes our way, whether it's a project at work, a social obligation, or favor for a friend. And in the middle of all that, we lose sight of what truly matters to us. We lose sight of our own path. That's why understanding your priorities is about much more than just organizing your to-do list. It's about aligning your life with your purpose, your values, and your vision for the future. Think about this. Every decision you make, every action you take is a reflection of what you prioritize, whether you realize it or not. The time you spend scrolling on your phone, the energy you give to people who don't uplift you, the tasks you take on out of obligation rather than passion, it all speaks to where your focus is. And if you don't get clear on what really matters, life will pull you in every direction except the one you're meant to go. The truth is, you can't give yourself fully to anything if you're spread too thin. You have to ask yourself, what truly deserves my time and energy? What fills me up? What moves me closer to the person I'm trying to become? When you know your priorities, everything else becomes easier. You start to realize that saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary. You start to understand that every no to something that doesn't serve your higher purpose is a yes to something that does. You free yourself from the guilt of people pleasing and embrace the power of living in alignment with your true self. And here's the thing, your priorities won't always be the same. What was important to you 5 years ago may not be important today. And that's okay. We evolve, we grow, and our priorities shift with us. But the key is to stay connected to yourself, to continually check in and ask, am I living in a way that reflects what matters most to me right now? Because when you do that, you start to live a life that feels authentic, a life that's not about chasing someone else's dreams or meeting someone else's expectations, but about creating the future you want. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can give yourself. It's about recognizing your worth and knowing that you don't have to be available to everyone all the time. We live in a world that constantly pulls us in every direction, from the demands of work to family to friends and everything in between. But let me tell you something, just because someone wants a piece of your time doesn't mean you have to give it. Setting boundaries means you are choosing what you allow into your space, into your life, into your mind, and into your heart. You have to understand that your time, your energy is finite, and not everyone is deserving of it. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls, it's about creating a safe space for yourself where you can thrive, where you can recharge, where you can focus on what truly matters to you. Too often we say yes out of guilt or obligation, even when deep down we know it's not what we want or need. But here's the truth: every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could lift you up, that could push you forward, that could bring you joy. Now, this isn't easy, especially if you spent years being the go-to person for everyone, always saying yes, always putting other people's needs before your own. It can feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry that setting boundaries will disappoint people or that you'll be seen as selfish. But let me tell you something. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving and giving without taking care of yourself, eventually there'll be nothing left to give. Setting boundaries is how you protect your energy, how you make sure that you're showing up as your best self, not just for others, but for yourself too. And here's the real magic: when you set clear boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. You're saying, this is what I need to thrive. This is what I need to stay balanced. And this is how I expect to be respected. You start to attract people who honor those boundaries, people who respect your time and your energy, because they see that you respect yourself. When you set clear boundaries, you're not just making space for your priorities, you're also making space for people and opportunities that are in alignment with your highest good. Boundaries are not about rejection, they're about protection. Embracing stillness is an act of courage in a world that's constantly moving. We're told that success comes from being in motion, from doing more, achieving more, and constantly staying on the go. But let me tell you something: true power doesn't come from constant activity. It comes from knowing when to pause, when to breathe, and when to just be. Stillness is where clarity is born. Stillness is where you can hear the whispers of your own soul. You see, we live in a culture that glorifies busyness. It's almost like a badge of honor to say, I'm so busy, like being constantly overwhelmed means we're doing something right. But what if I told you that the most profound breakthroughs, the deepest wisdom, don't come from filling your days with tasks and distractions, but from stepping back, taking a moment, and allowing yourself to be present in the silence? Because in the stillness, you hear the truth that's been drowned out by all the noise. You connect with your intuition, that inner guide that always knows the right way forward, even when you don't. And let's be real, stillness can feel uncomfortable. We're so used to the hustle, to the grind, that when we stop, when we're alone with our thoughts, it can feel unsettling. But that discomfort is where the growth happens. When you learn to embrace stillness, to sit with yourself, you create space for reflection. You create space for healing. You create space for ideas, for vision, for creativity that could never flourish in the middle of chaos. Stillness is not the absence of progress, it's the moment where you realign with your purpose, with your true self. Think about it. How often do we miss the answers we're searching for because we're too busy to hear them? How often do we overlook opportunities, solutions, or even the simple joys of life because we're always in a rush? When you embrace stillness, you give yourself permission to slow down, to observe, to be present in the here and now. And it's in that presence that we find clarity. It's in that presence that we rediscover what truly matters. Stillness is where transformation begins. It's not about doing nothing. It's about creating an intentional pause, a sacred moment where you can recharge, reconnect, and reset. In that space, you get to ask yourself the real questions. What do I need right now? What am I feeling? What is my heart telling me? When you give yourself permission to stop, to breathe, you return to your life with more focus, more energy, more intention. And when you embrace stillness, you teach yourself to trust the process. You realize that you don't have to force everything into existence, that some of the best things in life come when you let go of control and allow life to unfold. Tracking where your time goes is like holding up a mirror to your life. It's about looking at how you spend each minute and asking yourself, is this really serving me? Is this bringing me closer to the person I want to be, to the life I want to live? You see, time is the most precious resource you have. You can always make more money, you can always meet new people, but you can never get more time. And yet, how often do we let it slip through our fingers without even realizing it? So when I say track where your time goes, I'm talking about awareness. I'm talking about bringing your life into focus, being intentional with every moment. Because here's the truth: if you don't track where your time goes, someone or something else will decide it for you. And you can't live your best life if you're constantly caught up in someone else's agenda. You've got to be the one in control. You've got to know with absolute clarity how your time is being spent and whether that time is lifting you up or holding you back. Think about how easy it is to get caught up in distractions. A quick scroll through social media turns into an hour. A few minutes of checking emails becomes a whole morning. The little things add up. And suddenly you find yourself at the end of the day wondering, where did all my time go? What did I really accomplish? That's why tracking your time is so important. It gives you the power to see with honesty and transparency where your energy is going. And once you know that, you can start to make different choices. Because tracking your time isn't just about identifying what's draining you, it's about discovering where you can create more space for the things that matter. It's about realizing that every minute you spend on something that doesn't align with your purpose is a minute you're taking away from your growth, from your happiness, from your future. When you track your time, you become accountable to yourself. You start to see patterns, and those patterns tell a story. Is it a story of progress or is it a story of distraction? But here's the beauty of it: once you know where your time is going, you can reclaim it. You can take back the moments that were slipping away and invest them into things that nourish you, that push you forward, that bring you closer to your dreams. Maybe you'll find that you spend too much time on tasks that aren't meaningful, or that you're giving away your time to people who don't appreciate it. Maybe you'll realize that there's space in your day for the things you've been saying you don't have time for, whether it's self-care, learning, or pursuing your passion. Tracking where your time goes gives you the power to create balance in your life. It helps you see where you need to say no so that you can start saying yes to yourself, to your vision, to the things that make you come alive. Because at the end of the day, how you spend your time is how you spend your life. And when you track it, you're not just managing minutes, you're honoring your journey. You're showing up for yourself in a way that says, I value my time because I value me. Creating time for growth is about making an investment in yourself that no one else can make for you. It's about realizing that, yes, your time is limited, but your potential, that's limitless. And if you're not intentional about carving out space in your life to nurture that potential, you'll find yourself stuck, going through the motions, wondering why nothing is changing. Growth doesn't just happen. You have to create the time, make the space, and give yourself permission to evolve. Let me tell you something: personal growth is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Whether it's learning a new skill, reading a book that expands your mind, or taking time for self-reflection, growth is how you move from where you are to where you want to be. It's how you elevate your thinking, your habits, and ultimately your life. But here's the thing: if you don't schedule time for growth, life will always find a way to fill your days with distractions, with obligations, with things that don't contribute to your development. Think about it. How often do we tell ourselves, I'll work on that dream when I have more time, or I'll invest in my personal growth once things calm down? But let's be honest, life is always moving. There will always be something demanding your attention. That's why you can't wait for the right time to grow. You have to create the right time. You have to make a deliberate choice to prioritize your growth, to see it as essential to your well-being, your success, and your happiness. When you create time for growth, you are telling yourself and the world that you are worthy of becoming more. You are declaring that you are not content to stay where you are, that you are committed to pushing past your limitations, to expanding your horizons. And this doesn't have to be some grand, time-consuming process. It can be as simple as waking up a little earlier to journal, or carving out 20 minutes a day to learn something new, or even just sitting in silence, reflecting on your journey. But whatever it is, it needs to be intentional. It needs to be a priority, not an afterthought. Here's the truth: no one can grow for you. No one can force you to expand your mind or challenge yourself. That's something you have to claim for yourself. And the most successful, fulfilled people in the world didn't get to where they are by accident. They created time for growth. They made it a practice, a ritual, a non-negotiable part of their lives, because they understood that growth isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a lifelong commitment. It's a journey, not a destination. When you create time for growth, you're not just adding something to your schedule, you're shifting your mindset. You're making a statement that says, I'm worth this time, I'm worth the effort, I'm worth the investment. And when you start to see yourself in that light, you'll notice that everything around you begins to change. Your energy shifts, your confidence rises, and you start attracting opportunities and experiences that align with your higher self. But it all starts with creating that time to learn, time to reflect, time to grow into the person you were always meant to be. Being present in every moment is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself and to the people around you. In a world that's constantly pulling us in 1,000 different directions, emails, notifications, deadlines, and distractions, it's easy to let life pass by without truly experiencing it. But let me tell you, there is power in presence. When you're fully engaged in the here and now, you open yourself up to the richness of life. You start to see the beauty in the little things, to feel the depth of your experiences, and to connect more deeply with the people in your life. Presence is about more than just being physically there. It's about bringing your full self, your mind, your heart, and your spirit into the moment. Too often we're stuck in the past, replaying old conversations, holding on to regrets, or worrying about things that have already happened. Or we're so focused on the future, planning, anticipating, and stressing about what's to come that we miss what's happening right in front of us. But here's the thing: the past is gone and the future hasn't happened yet. The only thing that truly exists is this moment right here, right now. And if you're not present for it, you miss it. Think about how much more meaningful your life would be if you were fully present for every conversation, every experience, every breath. When you're present, you listen more deeply. You don't just hear the words someone is saying, you feel their energy, their emotions, their intentions. You're able to respond with empathy, with understanding, and with love. You connect on a level that transcends the surface because you're truly there, not just waiting for your turn to speak or thinking about the next thing on your to-do list. And let's be real, being present isn't always easy. Our minds love to wander. We get caught up in the busyness of life, in the constant stream of thoughts, in the endless list of things we have to do. But presence is a practice. It's a choice you make moment by moment to return to what's happening right now. It's about reminding yourself that this moment is precious, that this moment will never come again. And when you embrace that mindset, everything changes. You start to see the world through new eyes, appreciating even the smallest details, the way the sunlight filters through the window, the sound of laughter, the feel of your breath moving in and out. Being present is also about honoring your own experience. It's about checking in with yourself, asking, what am I feeling right now? What does my body need? What's happening in my heart? So often we push through our days without ever pausing to notice how we're really doing. But presence brings you back to yourself. It allows you to tune into your own needs, to recognize when you're stressed, when you need rest, when you need to take a moment for yourself. And that self-awareness, that connection with your inner world, is where true peace and fulfillment come from. When you're present, you begin to realize that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every moment becomes an opportunity, a gift, a chance to experience something new, to learn something, to grow. Even the difficult moments, the challenges, the setbacks, they take on new meaning when you're fully present. Because in those moments, you're not resisting or wishing things were different. You're simply allowing yourself to be in it, to feel it, to experience it fully, knowing that it's all part of your journey. Presence is about letting go of the need to control everything, to fix everything, to have all the answers. It's about trusting that where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be, and that by being fully present, you're allowing life to unfold in its own perfect way. When you live with that kind of presence, you stop chasing after what's next and start appreciating what's right here. You become more patient, more grateful, more at peace. And in that space, life becomes less about what you're achieving and more about who you're becoming. Reflect and adjust. Those two simple actions hold the key to living a life of purpose, growth, and fulfillment. Reflection is where the magic happens. It's where you pause, look inward, and ask yourself the tough questions. Am I where I want to be? Am I showing up as the person I truly want to become? Is the path I'm on still aligned with my values, my vision, my heart? So many of us get caught up in the hustle of life, moving from one task to the next, never taking a moment to truly reflect on our journey. But without reflection, we can't grow. We can't see what's working and what's not. We can't adjust course when we need to, and trust me, we all need to adjust from time to time. You see, life isn't a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, detours, and unexpected obstacles. But that's okay, because growth doesn't come from getting everything right the first time. Growth comes from being willing to learn along the way. And the only way to do that is to take time to reflect honestly, deeply, compassionately. Reflection is like holding a mirror up to your soul. It's about seeing the truth of where you are, not to judge yourself, but to understand, to learn, and to adjust. When you reflect, you create space for self-awareness. You start to recognize patterns. Maybe you notice that you're always stressed in certain situations, or that you keep falling into the same habits that don't serve you. Maybe you realize that the goals you set a year ago no longer feel right, or that the relationships you've been investing in aren't feeding your spirit. Reflection gives you the clarity to see these things, and with that clarity comes the power to adjust. To say, this isn't working for me anymore. And that's okay. I have the power to change it. I have the power to choose a new direction. Adjustment is where you take action. It's where you decide, I'm not going to keep doing what doesn't serve me. I'm not going to stay stuck just because it's comfortable or familiar. When you adjust, you're giving yourself permission to evolve, to grow, to step into a new chapter. You're allowing yourself to pivot, to take a new path, to create space for new possibilities. And that's what life is about: constantly adjusting, realigning, refining your course as you move forward. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about getting closer to your truth, to your purpose with every step you take. But adjustment requires courage. It takes courage to look at your life and say, I need to make a change. It takes courage to step away from what's no longer serving you, even when it's hard, even when it means letting go of old habits, old mindsets, or even old relationships. But here's what I know for sure: if you're not willing to adjust, you'll never truly grow. You'll stay in the same place, doing the same things, getting the same results, and wondering why nothing is changing. But when you reflect and adjust, you open yourself up to transformation. You allow yourself to become the person you're meant to be, to live the life you're meant to live. And let me tell you, there is nothing more empowering than realizing that you have the power to adjust your course. You are not stuck. You are not stuck. You are not bound by the choices you made in the past. Every day is a new opportunity to reflect, to adjust, to make changes that bring you closer to your dreams. Maybe that means setting new boundaries, changing your routine, or letting go of something that's been weighing you down. Whatever it is, know that you have the power to make that adjustment. And every adjustment, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming the highest version of yourself. So take time to reflect. Ask yourself the deep questions. Look at your life with honesty and love. And then be willing to adjust. Be willing to say, I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to take a new path. Because every time you reflect and adjust, you're creating a life that's more aligned, more intentional, more you. You're stepping into your power, your truth, your greatness, and that, my friend, is where the magic of life truly unfolds. In the grand scheme of life, the one thing we can never reclaim is time. But what we can do is choose how we spend it. When you understand your priorities, set clear boundaries, embrace stillness, and track where your time goes, you begin to create a life of intentionality. You carve out space for growth, stay present in every moment, and reflect on your journey with the courage to adjust when needed. Ultimately, spending your time wisely is about living with purpose. It's about making each day, each hour, each moment a reflection of the life you truly want to lead. Don't let your days slip away in a blur of distractions and obligations. Instead, claim your time, make it yours. Use it to grow, to love, to thrive. So as you go forward, ask yourself, how can I spend my time in a way that honors who I am and who I want to become? When you live with that level of intention, every moment becomes an opportunity for greatness, and you will find yourself not just living life, but creating a life that truly matters. And that, my friend, is the ultimate gift.